All right, so when you think about high school sports, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For a lot of us, it's all about one thing, making the cut, right? But what if we've been looking at competition completely wrong? Today, we're going to dive into a totally different kind of sports culture, one that's shaking up the entire world of mountain biking with a pretty radical idea. So yeah, let's get into it.
So let's just start with this question right here. And I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. In a world that's all about varsity squads and first-string players, what if the main goal wasn't just to find the absolute fastest rider? What if it was about making sure every single person had a spot at the starting line? It sounds simple, but that one question, man, it's at the very heart of a huge shift happening in youth sports right now.
And let's be real, this is the world most of us grew up with, right? You show up for tryouts, you give it absolutely everything you've got, and you just cross your fingers and hope you're good enough. It's a system that's literally designed to filter out everyone except the best of the best. And for a super long time, that was just the only way, the only game in town.
All right, so let's dig into what we'll call the traditional starting line. This is the old school way. We're talking about a super high-pressure system that is built on one thing and one thing only: how you perform when it counts, on game day or, in this case, on race day. Look, this model, it definitely produces champions, for sure. But you have to ask, who gets left behind in the dust?
So what does that look like? Well, you've got cuts and tryouts, obviously, a crazy, relentless focus on winning above everything else. Oh yeah. The idea that only the strongest, the fastest, reach the podium and get all the glory? That's pretty much the standard playbook. It's a tough environment where, basically, your entire value is tied directly to your results on a spreadsheet.
And this quote, this really hits home, because it's the human side of that system. Just imagine, you love racing, you're putting in all the hours on the trail, but you feel totally invisible just because you're not in the top 5. It's all about the results. That feeling, that's exactly what happens when the only thing a sport celebrates is who stands on the podium at the end of the day.
But what if there was a different way to do things? Well, that's where NICA comes in. That's the National Interscholastic Cycling Association. And these guys, they looked at all those old school rules and basically decided to just flip the entire script. They showed up with a completely different idea about what a youth sport could be and maybe what it should be.
Okay, get this. No cuts. No one ever tells you you're not good enough for the team. And get this, no bench warming. Nobody sits on the sidelines. If you show up, you compete. Every single rider. It doesn't matter if you're a total pro or if you literally just got on a mountain bike for the first time. It sounds so simple, right? But it is absolutely revolutionary.
Now think back to that other quote we just saw. This rider says, "I wasn't the fastest, but I got to race." They might not have won, but they felt seen. They felt like they mattered. The whole team celebrated their effort, not just their finish time. And that is a massive shift. It becomes about celebrating the guts it takes just to show up and give it your all, no matter what place you come in.
So let's just break it down side by side. The old way, it's all about exclusivity, weeding people out to find the best. The NICA way, it's about inclusivity, pulling everyone in. The old way focuses on the podium. The NICA way focuses on your personal growth. One system basically tells you that you are your performance. The other one tells you that you're defined by your effort. It's a completely different definition of what it even means to be successful.
Now, you can probably imagine when you introduce an idea this different, it's going to spark some debate, right? Not everyone was immediately sold on this. It kicked off this huge, important conversation that's still happening in youth sports today. And it all boils down to this. What's the real goal here? Is it about winning or is it about growing? And that really is the big question, isn't it? Look, the traditionalists, they've got a point. They'll argue that the whole reason we compete is to find out who's the best, to push for that victory. And they're not wrong. Winning feels amazing, it's a huge motivator. But the people who believe in this new way, they ask, shouldn't we also be building things like confidence and resilience and character? And the biggest question of all, can't you do both at the same time?
And I think this coach's quote really finds that perfect balance. They absolutely nail it. See, NICA isn't saying that competition is a bad thing. Not at all. In fact, they love it. But they see it as a tool to build something way bigger than a trophy case. It's about teaching kids to push their own limits, for sure, but also to turn around and support the person right next to them, even if they're wearing a different jersey.
So the big question is, does it actually work? I mean, what really happens when you build an entire sport around this idea of inclusivity and effort? Well, the results are pretty powerful. It turns out this whole approach has an impact that goes way, way beyond the finish line.
Okay, let's just start with the raw numbers. When you take away that fear of getting cut from the team, guess what happens? Yeah, a lot more kids show up. We're talking thousands and thousands of students who probably thought, I'm not fast enough, suddenly decided to give it a shot. And because of that, high school mountain biking just exploded.
But it's about way more than just the numbers. You had whole communities starting to rally around these teams. Kids who might have just quit sports for good ended up finding a passion for life. And here's the real kicker, the part that probably surprised all the skeptics. The level of competition, it actually got stronger, not weaker. Why? Because the talent pool just got so much deeper.
All right, so as we start to wrap this up, let's bring it all back to you. We've looked at two totally different ways of thinking about competition, two completely different philosophies on what a sport should even be, and that kind of leads us to one last really personal question.
When you boil it all down, one philosophy was all about chasing podiums. The other one, it was about chasing participation. Is the ultimate goal the medal around your neck? Or is it getting as many people as possible to feel that challenge and that pure joy of the sport? Both philosophies created incredible athletes, but they had totally different ways of defining what success even looks like.
And really, that's the final thought I want to leave you with. Whether you're on a bike, out on a field, or honestly, just navigating through life, how do you define your own victory? Is it about being number one no matter what? Or is it about finishing your own race, maybe helping a teammate along the way, and just getting stoked to come back and try again tomorrow? Definitely something to think about.